Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Zimbabwe is a failed state. In 1980, when the country gained its independence, our GDP per capita was 6,000 US dollars. And over the years, it has declined. And now it is a mere 2,000. Per capita. We cannot run away from that fact. We are a failed state. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Why are we a failed state? There are many ways you can approach this problem. One of the problems we have had, why we are a failed state, is that we have failed to hold our leaders to account. Let me reiterate this point. When the country gained their independence in 1980, one of the big issues that the nation had been fighting for was one man, one vote. But before the nation even held its first election, Zanu PF sought to undermine that. What we had in 1980 was not free, fair, and credible election. It was not one man, one vote. Because Zanu PF had failed to honor its promise that it would withdraw all its freedom fighter operatives from the field to allow for free, fair, and credible elections. Many of his operatives were left in the field, and they were given the instruction that they must tell the people that if Zanu PF does not win the election, the Bush war would continue. And so the people voted to end the Bush war. And in doing so, the nation lost its right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country. Zanu PF imposed the de facto one-party state that has ruled the country to this day. "45 years is a long period. And no one can honestly say in those 45 years we did not have the opportunity to end the de facto one-party state. We did. The people of Zimbabwe have risked everything this last 25 years to elect the opposition on the understanding that once in power, the MDC CCC leaders would implement the democratic changes, reforms necessary to end the Zanu PF dictatorship. Understanding that is important. And yet, if you look at 2023, Mnangagwa blatantly rigged those elections and got away with it scot-free because millions of Zimbabweans had participated in the flawed elections. This is the problem. We have risked everything to elect an opposition who, once in office, have failed to implement the reforms necessary to end the dictatorship. One of the annoying things about the MDC-CCC leaders is that they've refused to be held to account. They've refused to answer the nation's questions. Why have you failed to implement reforms? Why have you conned people to participate in flawed elections? They've refused to answer all those questions. What I find annoying, personally, is that they've pretended they are not accountable to the people. This is the biggest problem the nation is facing right now. We have an opposition whom we are trusting will implement the reforms to end the Zanu PF dictatorship. And that opposition believes it's not accountable to us. That is totally unacceptable. Here is Nelson Chamisa. Yes, he is back, addressing a charity gathering in which this issue of accountability came up.
Even when we are silent, for the past 2 years, I've not uttered a word. But every day, I dominate their minds. Thank you, Zanu PF, for allowing me to live in your heads rent-free. I'm going to tell my spokesperson, wakatotakura nemukadzi unondiziva ini nemadira ndeta kwagutu woti ndatakura kuenda kuno ini ndipuwe mushe. Be rest assured that whatever I do, and if I have not told you, is because I consider it not materially relevant. But if it is materially relevant, I will tell you. When I get tired, I will tell you. When I feel I can't take it anymore, I will tell you. But as far as I'm concerned, I have the energy, I have the power, I have the commitment to go forward.
I'd like to pause it there for a minute. Let's have a look and analyze what he's saying there. He is boasting that for the last 2 years, he has said nothing. And true enough, He has said nothing. In fact, we can go back to the last 25 years. Chamisa and his MDC friends have been very careful to say nothing. The people, like I said, risked everything to elect them into office on the understanding that their number one task was to implement those democratic reforms. So why is it that 25 years later, Zanu PF is still able to blatantly rig the elections? And when people have asked those questions, Chamisa and company have been very careful to say nothing. This is at the heart of the problem. Let's emphasize that point. It is the people of Zimbabwe who have risked everything to elect Chamisa and company into power these last 25 years. And it is to the people that Chamisa and company must be accountable. And for him to say, if I have not said anything, it's because I consider it materially irrelevant. Is it materially irrelevant that Zanu PF is still able to rig elections 25 years after the MDC CCC leaders have been elected into office? It cannot be materially irrelevant. That is what you were elected to do. And yet you have chosen to say nothing. Chamisa and company may boast that they are living in Zanu PF's heads rent-free. I don't know about that one. But I do know that they are taking advantage of the ordinary people. It is not to Zanu PF, Mnangagwa, and these Zanu PF colleagues that Chamisa and company should account. It is to the people, to the ordinary people who elected them in that office, who are saying, we elected you to implement reforms. Why have you failed to implement reforms? We're still. Chamisa and company were elected in 2023 on the basis of a lie from none other than Chamisa himself. He is the one who promised the people that he was going to win big, and God was in it. He was preparing his cabinet, he said. And it was God's plan that he wins. We know he didn't win. So he was lying.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifo iri. Plan yaMwari haifo iri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
Well, we know that there was no celebration. We know Zanu PF blatantly rigged those elections. Just such as Chamisa has never seen it fit to come back to the people and say what happened. Let's listen to the rest of this speech.
And God willing, we are going to win it. God does not allow a person to suffer the way we have suffered. And we are kids, we have suffered. We have suffered. But I know one thing. When we have suffered the way we have suffered, God will remember us. All he wants is our obedience to him and to look unto him. And even when we are silent, for the past 2 years, I've not uttered a word. But every day,
So we are being told here that Chamisa did not win the 2023 elections because we had not suffered enough. The sheer foolishness of that statement beggars belief. He is now telling us that this time we'll win because we have suffered enough, and God will reward our suffering. Let's be clear on that point. We did not, or he did not win the 2023 elections because we had not suffered enough. And yet he is the one who assured the nation that we were going to win 2023 elections because that was God's plan. The question then is, was Chamisa lying that it was God's plan? Or was it God who lied to Chamisa? This is where the problem of failure to hold leaders to account comes in. If we don't hold our leaders to account, they will con us, lie to us, and we will be going round and round in circles. I do not believe God was ever in any of Chamisa's idiotic, harebrained schemes. God was not involved in the lie that I've plugged all the forth-raking loopholes. That was just a lie, and God was not in it. People believed it. They participated in the flawed elections only to give Zanu PF legitimacy. Chamisa lied that God was in it. God was never in it. And now he's telling us God is in it. He is calling us to participate in 2028 elections, knowing fully well that we have not implemented even one token reform. And that's Zanu PF who rigged those elections. In every nation, there has got to come a time when people have got to sit down and say, we are lost. What are we doing wrong? And I believe the people of Zimbabwe must open up their eyes. And realize that in leaders like Nelson Chamisa, they've got leaders who are corrupt, incompetent, liars, and conmen. The people have believed Chamisa and followed him and his friends blindly for the last 25 years, including the 5 years when they had the golden opportunity to implement the reforms, and they failed to do so. We need to open our eyes. When Chamisa says that he has been living rent-free in Zanu PF's heads, he is not accountable for what he has done and failed to do these last 25 years to Zanu PF. It is not Zanu PF thugs who have elected him and his friends into office. It's us, the people. It is us to whom he should be accountable. His continued stone silence on issues like what happened during the GNU. Why did you lie about plugging vote rigging loopholes? Is an insult to us, not Zanu PF. The sooner the people of Zimbabwe open their eyes and realize that Chamisa and company are accountable to us, and they must account before we can move on to 2028. The sooner people realize that, the sooner the nation can finally deal with this curse of rigged elections and bad governance. We cannot stop Zanu PF rigging 2028 elections. We cannot stop Chamisa and company participating in those flawed elections because they know that Zanu PF is giving away a few gravitary seats, and that is all that they are after. What we can do is make sure that we are not conned by Chamisa and company to participate in those flawed elections. To give Zanu PF legitimacy, to allow Chamisa and his friends to have the few gravitary seats, and meanwhile perpetuate our own suffering. Chamisa and company have been on the political stage for the last 25 years, including the 5 years in the GNU. We, the people of Zimbabwe, must hold them to account, to explain why not even one token reform has been implemented, and why they've been calling people to participate in flawed elections to perpetuate the dictatorship. That is our task, and we should not be found wanting in demanding democratic accountability. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.